Good morning, everyone, again. Sorry to interrupt the good conversation that's going on, but good morning again. My name is Ken Kettenbiel. I'm the Vice Chancellor for External Relations here at U of M-Dearborn. And the purpose of today is to have a light conversation with the Chancellor on events, initiatives, and things happening on campus. We usually do this every fall semester. We're a little bit late this year, so there's even more good things to talk about. So if you did submit a question in advance, thank you for that because it helps to inform what we talk about. And I will incorporate some of those questions into the conversation with the Chancellor. And then if it doesn't fit into some of our topic areas, I'll ask those at the end. And then at the very end, we have a couple people that will walk around with mics. And if you have questions for him, he will gladly answer them. So with that, last call for donuts and cider before we get started. And I'll invite Chancellor Domenico Grasso up to the stage for a conversation. Good morning, Domenico.
Hi, Ken. And good morning to everyone. And please, even though Ken said it was last call for cider donuts, if you have a desire for a donut, get up in the middle and go get a donut or some more cider.
So, Chancellor, in your opinion, how is the semester going? We're more than halfway through it. I can't believe it's already early November, and your assessment on how things are going.
Well, as you all know, the semester got off to a rocky start with a cyber intrusion of the entire university, which made things very difficult. But I have to say that our team got together immediately and responded in an outstanding fashion. So we were prepared for our students to arrive even though our systems were down. And we had printed out class schedules, we helped students find their classes, their locations, guided them. So even though we were posed a challenge at the beginning of the semester, and it was a little bit rockier than it normally is, our staff and our faculty responded in an admirable fashion. Better, I think, than some of our other colleagues in other places at the university. So we did a terrific job. I was very proud of that. The semester was off to a good start after that, but of course, world events have caused tension on this campus and on many, many campuses across the country and the world.
So going back to the rocky start with the IT issues, and I don't know what you can and cannot say, but anything more, I was one of the 230,000 people that got the letter that my information was compromised, and I'm sure some people in here were as well. Anything more you can say about that, or I'm assuming not? But.
Well, a lot of it is embargoed or still under investigation. I was also compromised. My wife was compromised. I think that many of you may have also been compromised. We are not alone as an organization or an institution that has faced these challenges. This is not the first time my information's been compromised. It probably won't be the last. This is the world we live in today. We have to be ever vigilant and make sure that we practice good hygiene, computer hygiene, IT hygiene, but these things are, as more defensive as we become, more aggressive our intruders become, and we'll always be faced with these challenges. So I really can't share any more than that.
I'm not in IT, but I feel like I've been compromised so many times. These people doing it should go after other people compromising and getting information instead of going after institutions, right? Because it's all out there.
I think that you're probably right, Ken.
So, and then just briefly, you hosted your book club. You had a town gown bike ride that was a little cold that day, if I recall. The mayor wasn't here, but the chief of police was, and it was a great partnership with the city. Talk about why those events are so important to you.
Well, they are important because although our primary mission is educating our students, I want us to engage at different levels. I want us to engage with our community and show how we can engage with West Dearborn, how they can engage with us, how easy it is, and of course encourage healthy practices of transportation, which is biking and walking. I think the book club engages us intellectually at a different level, and we have a video club that's going to come up And the conversations are always exciting and stimulating, and they are an adjunct to what we do in the classroom and how we educate our students. So it's about really lifelong skills and practices that we're trying to encourage and engage at different levels.
How do you pick your topics, your books, and your video selections? Just curious what goes into your thinking.
That's a good question. Well, I tend to read and look at things broadly, and it's just things that I think sound very interesting or provocative at the time. So our book club, our video club that's coming up is Francis Fukuyama's book called Liberalism, and it's Discontents, and it's a video that he did in a casual conversation like this. And it's only like a 40-minute video, but the book really talks about classical liberalism and how it's being attacked from both the left and the right. And I think it's worth either reading the book or listening to the conversation. I think it's going to provoke a lot of conversation amongst us on campus. We're going to show the video before we engage, so if you don't want or don't have the time to watch it, but you still want to engage, you can come earlier and watch the video, and then we can talk about it afterwards. We're going to have cider donuts there too.
And probably another bike ride afterwards to run up.
Yeah, that's why we need the bike rides, right?
So speaking of anniversaries, to some degree, we're coming up on the one-year anniversary of us issuing our first KPI report for the Go Blueprint for Student Success. What can you share with what's coming up next, when the next KPI report's going to be out, and maybe highlight some of the early wins or successes that we've seen?
Well, first I want to say that this is a joint effort, it's a community effort. A lot of people were engaged in this. I am very proud of the fact that we came up with a strategic plan and then we translated that into metrics, into KPIs. And I've often said that visions without plans are hallucinations, right? I mean, so you don't get to a place that you cannot quantify where you're going. So we are on track in many of our categories, and we've exceeded many of our categories. For instance, in your category, Ken, we were aiming for a certain number of placements in national media, and we are way over that now. And we're we're showing up in a lot of different publications that are picking up a lot of stories about our faculty, about what we're doing on campus, about our students. It's been terrific. We have exceeded our goals for graduation rates already. Our 4-year graduation rate this year went up 5%. Last year went up 3%. These are because of the things that we're putting in place to help our students get to the finish line faster. And our first year entering class this year set a record for the university, the highest number of incoming first year students in the history of the university. So we've got a lot of things that are going in our direction. Our research expenditures went up to over $10 million this year. Last year they were $7 million, and 5 years ago when I arrived they were, I think, around $4 million. So that is on a very steep trajectory as well. We're firing on all cylinders here, and we've got data to prove it. It's not just me saying it.
Yeah, and we are, give all of us a hand.
Yeah, that's
sure.
for all of you.
So, and I'll steal something that Kristen Palm on my staff mentioned. The reason why the media hits are so high is because of all the great things happening from all of you, particularly our faculty. There's a lot of great material to work with, and so it makes it easier to tell our story. So sort of dovetailing on this, I know President Ona was scheduled to be here a couple weeks ago for a Vision 2034 event, and that's been postponed. We don't have a date on when he's going to be coming back to campus, but can you talk about what Vision 2034, I get the purpose of it, to talk about that initiative, and how does our strategic plan feed into that?
Well, Vision 2034 is an initiative that the president launched shortly after he arrived here to identify what type of institution we wanted to be in 10 years. The landscape of higher education is changing dramatically, It's become very competitive, especially at the highest levels. So we were trying to, he is trying to identify how we can define ourselves in a 10-year period. How we are dovetailing with that is that we've already essentially done that amongst ourselves when we launched our strategic planning effort. And we decided who we were going to be. We were going to be a practice-based educational institution that was an access point to improving lives in our region and across the nation through their continued work. So we've already identified that and we've translated that into the metrics. So it's going to be harder for Vision 2034 to translate into metrics because the University of Michigan writ large is very large and it's very diverse, and everybody's going to have to identify their own way to get to that vision, and we've already done that essentially.
And you've been very clear, Vision 2034 is a vision. It's not a strategic plan per se,
Exactly.
correct? Okay.
Exactly.
And there was one aspect, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but sustainability is one of the core pieces of that Vision 2034. I can't even, we have to say 2024 in a few months, and now we're talking about 34. Is there anything sustainability related that you think, would benefit our campus? The U of M has big plans in that category, and they have deep pockets, and we don't. Do you see synergies, particularly in that one area?
Well, certainly, this afternoon we have Jeff Chattis, who's the EVP for Ann Arbor, and for us, as a matter of fact, coming, and we're going to talk about future investments in our campus. And this is going to be one of the things we're going to talk about, how Ann Arbor can help us be more sustainable. But Carol Glick, who's sitting right here, is our head of all of our facilities and is critical in leading opportunities to help us become more sustainable. But let me be clear, and I think everybody knows this because you're all smart. Our key to sustainability is our lifestyles. And we have to really look at ourselves and how we decide to live, and our purchasing choices and our everyday activities in identifying how we can live more sustainably. And I think that our campus is already doing that in many ways, and we're going to continue to do that. But this is going to be really key to how we become sustainable.
Next, I want to move on to the budget. You talked about the largest freshman class, which was outstanding, but enrollment's not the only thing that goes into the budget and determinations about merit. And we'll get to merit at the end because it's fall, and you communicated earlier that if there's going to be additional merit, it was going to happen at this point. So, can you talk about the good news, related to the budget, enrollment and things that feed into the positive?
Well, is Melissa here? I don't.
She is.
Oh, there she is. Melissa and her team have done a terrific job of attracting the largest first-year class in the history of the university. We also saw an increase in our incoming transfer students, and these are outstanding stories. And I think that this is going to continue to improve as our story gets known through these placements in national and local news about all the great things that are happening here. We're also investing in things like the Go Blue Guarantee, Need First financial aid, so we're helping our students be able to afford to come here. We're also looking at helping our students graduate. As I said, our four-year graduation rate has gone up significantly in the last 2 years. It's going to continue to climb. It hasn't translated into our 6-year graduation rate yet because that cohort hasn't graduated yet, but it will translate into our 6-year graduation rate, which we're going to be very excited to report very soon. But at the same time, we still have challenges ahead of us. Our retention rate is in the 60% here. We're losing about 40% of our students that don't finish. Some of them transfer to other schools. And I want to wish them all well, but at the same time, we have to make a case for why they should stay here, right? And why this is the best place for them to graduate. And as our students transfer to other schools, we should be making a case for why students from Eastern and Oakland and Wayne State should be transferring to us, and Ann Arbor by any measure. So they should be transferring to us. So we should try to close the gap of students that actually, that we lose that don't graduate, whether they stop out or they transfer out. Because let me just put this in a very stark number, because I see Brian Dady, our Chief Financial Officer, here. We lose about $7 million a year because the students don't come back. That's lost tuition revenue, whether they transfer somewhere else. And I have to say, I sometimes get into discussions, lively discussions with my Regental colleagues about this, because they see just someone graduating from the University of Michigan as a good thing, whether it's here or in Ann Arbor. But if they graduate from Ann Arbor and they leave here, we lose that tuition revenue. And that tuition revenue is what helps us with merit increases, with facilities improvement, with sustainability investments, with everything. And we can't afford to do that. And we do lose students when they graduate earlier, and we are graduating them quicker now, which is very good. But as an engineer, and Carol's an engineer, a chemical engineer as well, we know that when things change in the system and the reactions start to change, there's a time to reach another steady state, and it takes a little bit of time. Right now, we're losing these students because they're graduating earlier. But as they graduate earlier, we'll be able to attract more students because they're going to see this as a quicker path to graduation. And then we'll have more incoming students, and then we'll stabilize at a different population on campus here, which will make everything better. But right now, we're in a transition period where we're bringing in more students, we're graduating them faster, and we're still losing some. But if we can close that gap, we'll transition to a different steady state, but it's going to take us some time.
So one thing I wanted to mention, I promised Melissa I would share this, but enrollment, it's not just enrollment management's responsibility. There's a lot of people in this room that factor into that. I know my department has a share in it, in helping to recruit, and many others. And so I wanted to underscore that, and I think you've mentioned that, Domenico. And you've also said that retention is all of our responsibility. And one of the questions that came in is, people that aren't student-facing, what can they do to help? I mean, are there suggestions that we can all leave this room with to help with the retention issue here?
Well, first of all, everybody's job is critical to the success of the university, right? So whether you are student-facing or not, if you're out there mowing the lawn or repairing a light fixture or something, and a student walks by looking confused, you can ask them if they need help finding someplace. Everybody, we should take pride in all of our work, so this place is beautiful, that we are supporting everything that is important to the success of the university. And as a team, I think that we can help our students feel like this is where they want to be over any other place, if we all feel that we are contributing to their success. And let me just say, I was in a meeting not too long ago about high-performing teams. And what separates high-performing teams, this is my personal opinion, what separates high-performing teams from good-performing teams is not just all the things like transparency and understanding objectives and shared goals. What the key ingredient is passion, and to have passion for what you do. And I see that in so many places on this campus, that we have passion in supporting the students that come through the door and seeing them graduate. And I think that that's why it's so exciting to work here.
So this is just one example. My neighbor across the street, their son has always dreamed about going to U of M Ann Arbor, and he's on the path to go there. He plays soccer in high school, probably won't make the team in Ann Arbor. But when we're in settings, people always say, "Where's Tyler? Where's he want to go to school?" And his mom always says, "U of M." And I always say, "Dearborn?" And just the other day, she goes, "Ken, you always say that," because it comes up in conversation a lot. But again, we can all help recruit students to come here or get the awareness out about the Dearborn campus.
For sure.
What you're hearing.
For sure. In everyday conversation. And
Yep.
Last year, Mark Howes was our commencement speaker. He was one of our students, went off to executive position at John Deere. And the topic of his commencement speech is don't drop the Dearborn, right? When you say you're a UM graduate, say Dearborn. And he always does, and we're very proud of that. We're proud of his success. We're proud of being here.
So in light of the good news, or the mixed news, really, that you shared, will there be additional merit this year?
Ken, as you probably know, I know you know because you were in the conversations, this has been this has been a very difficult discussion point over the last several weeks as we try to balance the budget. So we're trying to be good stewards of the university, and at the same time, we want to reward all the hard work that's gone on here in support of our mission. So we're going to do something a little bit modest this year. We're going to add, in addition to the 1% that we committed to earlier, we're going to add $1,500 to everybody's base pay. So as you will quickly understand, that'll be a larger percentage for those in the lower pay categories, and a little bit less in percentage, but the same amount in others. But even with this, we're going to be running a deficit, and we're going to have to take money out of our reserves to close the budget this year. So don't think that we're doing this and we're buying stocks or equities or something with the money, because we are still going to run in the red this year at the end, because we're not closing our enrollment gaps, essentially. And there are other things like insurance went up over 10, health insurance costs went up over how many percent? 14% in health insurance costs this year.
I mean, well, cost of services and goods everywhere have gone up. I
Well,
mean,
inflation has gone, but that one shot through the roof.
Yep. Okay. So campus planning, that's another big initiative that is happening on campus. It's going to guide future decision-making on building use and those types of things, and there's a few things tied into this discussion, but can you share an update on, the importance of this planning, how the information is going to be used, and it's my understanding the regents are going to be reviewing our plan shortly after the first of the year. So, what are they going to be looking for?
They will be reviewing our plan as well as everybody's plan. Carol, again, is leading this effort, and we're looking at how we're going to envision our physical plan. This is a master plan, physical master capital plan. So it's not our programmatic plan that is the strategic plan, but they dovetail, of course, because our physical plan has to support our strategic plan. So we're going to be looking at how we can best use our facilities and resources. And as you know, we don't get a lot of capital support from the state, and we are trying to, and Cassandra's here. Cassandra and I are on the road this semester. We were in Nashville. We were supposed to go to New York next week. We're going to California, Florida. And I've been pretty gentle with our donors up until recently, but I'm going to be much more assertive with them in terms of how they can help us in support of our mission here. And we're going to have to find ways to develop a master plan that is going to support us and be implementable, so that we can have great ideas, but if we can't fund them, they're just going to languish. So we need to find ways to be strategic in utilizing our physical resources, and that's what this master plan is about. And that means being efficient and effective in the physical use of our resources.
So tied into that is the Fairlane Center. So there's been a lot of discussion about, are we moving out of it? Are we moving out of it temporarily? What does the future look like? And I'm assuming the planning and all the research and things are going in is going to help inform that. But can you share anything at this point about the center?
I can, actually. I can share something concrete about this. I have asked the provost to ask Carrie, who's our chief strategy officer, to put together a task force that's going to comprise various constituencies to look at the future of the Fairlane Center. So hopefully there will be a report that will issue. It will be discussed at the leadership level. and then I and the provost will make the final decision as to how we're going to do that. But let me point out that this plan is going to have as its overarching goal is what is in the best interest of the students and of the faculty, with the subtext of it that we can afford it.
And I'm assuming, Domenico, just the hybrid work schedules, the hybrid course schedules, maybe more classes moving online, all of that is going to factor into building use as well, whether it's the Fairlane Center or other buildings on campus.
For sure, for sure.
Speaking of, it's been shared in Reporter at least about an exciting project to transform the University Center, the library, and the green space in between more of it as a front door to the university. I know there's a vision, but can you comment on that? And I know since you've been here, you've always felt it was important to have a placemaking in a sense of a front door to the university. And it's exciting to hear, but it's, I'm assuming, also tied into the planning and all the other research that's going into what's best for students.
And I think that that's absolutely right, Ken. We do need a front door to the university, a place where we can start our tours for Melissa, a place where students feel that they have a, quote, living room on campus here, because as you know, we are a commuter campus. So when the students come here, I want them to feel that this is their home away from home. And Amy Finley, who's Dean of Students, as you probably know, one of the things I asked her to do was create the commuter campus of the 21st century, to make us stand out as commuter campuses. Commuter campus has been a relatively pejorative term over the years, and we're trying to rebrand that, recapture it, and own it in a different way. So things like creating space between the Mardigian Library and the Rennick Center are going to be very important to that. But they have to be contextualized in what we want to do as a whole and what we can afford and what the future is going to look like. That's why we're going slowly and methodically, but in a determined fashion in this regard.
We're making haste slowly.
Yes, exactly. Festina lente.
I'm reading your blog. You mentioned about the state not necessarily, they haven't been overflowing with their money, for capital projects, at any of the public universities. But if you wanted to share what was submitted just last week for our project, the renovation.
Sure, and I was just at the MASU meeting yesterday where all the presidents of the 15 publics got together, and we were talking about writing another letter emphasizing the importance of capital outlay to the universities, and we're going to ask them to eliminate the match, increase the dollar amount, and really take it seriously, because right next door to that state to the south here that I don't want to mention is they've invested heavily in capital projects for their state universities, and you can see the difference in what they've been able to do around economy, attracting Intel Center, electric battery production facilities, and we have to keep pace with them. So we put that together. But we submitted for our campus the project around a new CIS building, a Computer and Information Science building.
A renovation.
A renovation, yeah, I'm sorry, renovation. A renovation. But it is because this is an important area, and we have facilities that are dated, and we have a lot of capacity to grow in that area. And as we grow in that area, as you probably know, it fulfills workforce needs, but it also helps us with net tuition revenue, which helps have knock-on consequences all throughout campus here. So that was the project that we submitted to, and hopefully we submitted it last year. We were highly ranked last year. It was well written, it was well argued, but we didn't get it because politics are what they are.
Well, I think there's still debate if there's going to be capital outlay this year.
I think that
Okay.
We were getting word yesterday that that's going to happen.
And we did strengthen, to go back, for those of you that are new to campus, the CIS building is the last of the 4 original buildings that really hasn't been renovated. So it makes good sense from an age of a building, and then everything you had mentioned about, with enrollment being up in those areas, that those are key degrees, for state development and so forth. So Good. So just to wind up, Domenico, a few key initiatives. We have an HLC visit coming up in a
Yep.
couple of weeks. If you can talk about the significance of this, and those of you that have been here for longer than 10 years knows that there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into this. I see Mitch over in the corner.
I was
He's
just gonna-
done an
I wanted
outstanding
to
job.
give
And there's
Mitch
many others
credit,
in this
yeah.
room that have worked on that report. Talk about why this is important and what we all should be prepared to, for in the next couple of weeks.
Right, so HLC will be coming to do their site visit. It's preceded by a submission of a self-study report that Mitch led. And HLC is our accrediting organization, Higher Learning Commission, and they accredit all the universities in this state and in a variety of other states throughout the country. There are different commissions in different parts of the country. Where I was before was the Mid-Atlantic, and then the one in New England was the New England one. But we fall under HLC, and it's important that we get accredited and that they find no deficiencies, because we don't want to go on probation and we don't want them to come back before their next scheduled visit to do any type of additional analysis. So, of course, all of your units are going to be reviewed, and we hope that I think Mitch would agree that we're in a very good position right now. We have a very strong position for the university to demonstrate how great we are in supporting our students and fulfilling our mission. We have 2 regents that are going to meet with them. Mark Bernstein and Sarah Hubbard are going to come to campus here and have lunch with the reviewers as well, to talk about how we interact with our branch campus in Ann Arbor.
And I don't know if Pam Pennock's here, but there was an email that was sent out or something. Oh, there she is. Hi. In Reporter, and she was a key person on with the narratives, and she's like, Ken, we need to update this particular criteria. And it's like, so there were so many people watching this and had eyes on things, and we're trying to knit pieces together even while the report was being drafted. So it is a tremendous lift and very important. We have an event tonight. You mentioned earlier in your intro about sort of the unrest in the world and what it means for so many people in our campus community. Do you want to preview the panel discussion that's going to happen this evening at 5 o'clock?
I can talk a little bit about it, but the provost, Gabriela Scarlata, has been very instrumental in pulling this together. She looked across the campus and invited scholars from different perspectives to speak in a forum that I think hopefully will demonstrate the best that this university has to offer, which is engaged, intelligent, and respectful conversation about important topics to help us all understand what's happening there and really try to put things in perspective for us. So it's going to happen at 5 o'clock right here. And we already have almost 100 people signed up, and that's at the capacity of the room. So I think it's going to be well attended and well delivered, and I know that it will demonstrate the best that this university has to offer and can be.
So final topic I just wanted to touch on. Domenico, you talk a lot about student success, and that means graduation, but also their well-being here. Everything from having a place, to hang out and feel comfortable, but also mental health. Talk about the initiative, I think it was Amarillo College,
Yep.
An event or a conference you attended, and how you brought that back here. I know Dearborn Support is working on a student survey. If you wanted to, I know that's very near and dear to your heart, and
Yep.
People here might not know about it.
Well, as I think everybody here knows that student success is my #1 priority on this campus. I've said that since the beginning. And I attend various organizations, meetings of organizations that talk about student success. And I try to bring back ideas that we can implement. And Amarillo College, which is a community college, obviously, in Amarillo, Texas, had an initiative where they surveyed incoming students in different categories and asked them if they were experiencing any insecurity in whether it was food or housing or safety or a variety of different things. And Amy is doing this for us. How many questions were there, Amy? I can't. 9 questions. And they surveyed their incoming students. And when the students identified where they demonstrated or felt insecurity, there was intervention immediately. There was no waiting, and Amarillo got to them immediately, and they saw massive success in their graduation rates. They went from something like 20% graduation rate to over 60% graduation rate after implementing. I mean, it's really incredible. We just implemented this year, and we already had 100 students, I think, identify areas of insecurity where we intervened immediately. And but I have to say that one of the challenges we have right now is not all the students filled out the questionnaire. So of the students that did fill out the questionnaire, we intervened immediately, but now we're trying to figure out what's the best way to get all the students to intervene. At Amarillo College, they blocked access to their accounts until they filled it out. And they're a public university, we could do something like that here. We have to figure out how to get everybody to fill it out so that there are people who are experiencing, if there are people who are experiencing insecurity, that and they are not responding, then we can't help them. But if we can get to them, then that'll help us.
Well, we did have a test run of blocking out of systems in August, so.
We did, that's right. Very good, Ken, very good.
So.
Very good. But I do want to say, I want to give Maureen some more credit, and I know I keep giving her credit for the work she did around Not a Single Story, and she did a terrific presentation. But this is, something that I think really is another way that helps separate us and define us on this campus, is having our students be self-reflective about who they are, their identity, purpose, and objectives in their lives. And I think that when they do that, they will become more successful. And if we can get more of our students to be involved in projects like this, I think that this is going to be terrific. I say this because I was asked, and they really should have asked Maureen, but I was asked to go to California and present this project to the presidents of all of the community colleges in California. And I think that there are 400 and some odd presidents that are going to be there. And they're going to see a great video that Maureen and I borrowed, that's a very generous term, of Maureen's presentation that I will be presenting there.
Okay, so we're going to open up for Q&A. I have Kristen and Corey are going to walk around with mics. If you have a question for the Chancellor, just raise your hand. If you're seated in the middle here, if you could work your way out to the aisle, and then we'll take your questions. While they're moving around the audience here, there were a couple that were submitted in advance, so I'll start with those. Domenico, can you provide an update on online offerings and advising review that's being conducted by Carrie and others on the strategic planning initiatives?
So I've asked Carrie, again, as Chief Strategy Officer, to look at our position with online offerings and online degree programs. A recent analysis showed that 1/3 of Michiganders that are taking online courses with institutions that are out of the state, okay? So I don't know why that is, but that's a big opportunity. And online is such an important part of the future that we have to be present or we're going to be sidelined in so many different regards. So Carrie is looking at how we can increase our online presence. We had a presentation by a company called Academic Partnerships recently, and they're proposing opportunities for us to work with them on online offerings. So, and they've done work with many other universities. So we're looking at various ways that we can do online, improve our online position and posture.
There's anything finalized, still work in progress, and
it's
more
all
information
still
will
work
be
in
shared.
progress. But it has to be in conjunction with the faculty and academic side. So it is part of our degree offerings, and so it has to be in the purview of the academic and faculty side of the house.
Okay. Again, if you have a question, just raise your hand. Kristen and Corey are in the back. Another question that came in is, how do you see the impact of AI on the future of teaching, and how do you envision this impact on faculty and other functions at the university? Pretty deep question.
Well, I think that there's a lot of concern around AI. A lot of it is justifiable, right? AI is going to become increasingly powerful. I don't think that AI is going to replace faculty members or people in general, but I do think that people who use AI are going to replace people who don't use AI. So I think that we have to become conversant in AI and use it to support ourselves in an appropriate way. So if you are an attorney, and I'm looking at some, if you're an attorney and you use AI, you will be more powerful than an attorney that elects not to use AI. I think that's just the way it's going to be. And if you're a physician, it's going to be the same. And if you're an engineer, it's going to be the same. I was talking, I can't remember where I was sitting, but it was at a dinner, and I was talking to an engineer, and he said, I don't think AI is ever going to replace engineers. And I thought, oh my God, he has not been reading anything, because I can't believe he could say that statement. AI is going to become part of our lives, and we have to capture its potential and be aware of of the problems that are associated with it, of its dangers.
Again, I'm running out of question, folks, so. All right, good, we have one. So as Kristen wakes her way up, but one question that came in is, does the university have any plans to improve housing options for students, in particular international students, and supporting them as we get more students from abroad?
Well, I think we are not going to be building any residence halls, but there are a lot of apartments that are being built all throughout our region here in our locale. So we're going to try to work with the private sector in providing housing for our international students, graduate students, as well as undergraduates if they want to come here, in the same mode as the European universities provide housing in the economy for their students.
And there was a group working on the international experience too, and I think there was a report that was issued. It's all part of the strategic plan.
Yep.
And update probably around KPI time.
Yep.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Hi. So I actually have 3 questions. Yep,
Thanks,
so I'm
Michelle.
taking over the team. So the first is the easiest. Will you be sharing access to the master plan that is being presented to the regents?
Oh, absolutely. That is absolutely part of it. Yep.
So then my next one is, even though we did have the cyber attack, and it allowed us the opportunity to interact with our students, is this something that we could actually do every semester? Because we got great feedback from the students when we were helping them.
Oh, I think that's a great idea, and we talked about that in the senior leadership meeting, that we should do something like that to help students when they first come and help guide them. Yep. And we did that during COVID too, right?
I was going to say the same thing. As crazy as COVID was and checking screens at doors, it was great to interact with students and help them, because it was great to look at the green check, but it was rewarding to direct them to a classroom or to an office, on campus that they were totally in the wrong building for. So I agree. That was good things out of bad things, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
No, it's on. You gotta hear him out.
Hello? Oh. Okay. Okay, sorry. So
Krista, did you hear that, the last question? Okay. The last question was, this year with the internet disruptions, we had staff throughout the campus directing students and helping students. And Michelle asked if that's something we might want to consider continuing, even if we don't lose the internet next August. So we thought that was a good idea. Sorry.
Okay, so the last one that I have is, because we are figuring out that people are stopping out or transferring after their sophomore year, have you considered possibly either like creating a call center or even having like a day where all the staff on campus can reach out to students who haven't registered for their junior year to kind of see like why, so we can document like overall why we're.
That's a
Not-
great idea. I don't think we've thought that, Melissa?
We do surveys throughout.
Chris, she's going to answer it.
I mean, just to give perspective, I think there's an opportunity to always do more if others want to be part of it. But I will just say throughout the whole semester, as students don't re-enroll, there is active engagement happening both within the colleges, within the Division of Enrollment Management. We're doing constant outreach, phone calls, emails. We do actually do a survey now. This is 4th or 5th semester. We're gathering additional data to try to understand, like, hey, we've seen you haven't enrolled. Can you tell us why? Some tell us they're planning to transfer. If they do, we ask them where. We're actually in the process of working and partnering to have that be integrated into Salesforce, into the CRM, so that everyone would be able to see those responses. So there are activities happening, but there's always room to improve. So I think that, yeah, constant engagement to try to find out why students aren't enrolling is something we're always looking at. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
We feel silly if you guys don't ask them.
No questions.
Well, Domenico, I have one final question if there aren't any finals. I know you're a sports fan.
Yep.
There's been a lot of football success in this community this fall. So you have to pick one, Michigan National Championship or a Lions trip to the Super Bowl.
What do you mean I have to pick one?
Pick one. And no fair if you have intelligence on the sign stealing investigation.
No.
Okay.
No, but I do have, yesterday at the president's meeting in Lansing, Bob Davies, who's president of Central, was saying that, quote, the sign stealer was invited to his sidelines during the Michigan State game. So he was there doing whatever he was doing there. But
Stealing
that was
signs.
my, all right, I didn't want to go down there. No, I think that both are exciting.
Okay.
They both look like the
Gotta
best.
pick one.
The best teams in years. It just happens that Dearborn is almost halfway between Ford Field and Michigan Stadium. So
I think you should run for office.
It's an exciting football season. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving and watching the Lions play on Thanksgiving Day. And then Saturday, Ohio State. So that's going to be a great week for football in Michigan this year. But I think that both have a very bright future ahead into the playoff season.
All right. Well, thank you, Domenico, for sharing some time with us. Applause for Domenico here.
Thanks. Thank you, Ken, for being a great MC.
Yep, and there's extra food, it looks like, off to the side here. Thanks to the Chancellor's office, to Greg Taylor, and who else do I need to thank? UUE, for helping put this together. So thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks.